Sell your car. Your brother's loan won't pay itself, my dad said, after raising my rent by 80%. Funny. He gets the loan, I get the bill? I replied. On his big day, I delivered a gift, 30 days to vacate. Sell your car, Dad said, not even looking up from his tablet. Liam's loan isn't going to pay itself. I stopped halfway to the fridge, frozen with the bottle of orange juice still in my hand. I'm sorry, what? He glanced up, like I was the one being dramatic. Your brother's trying to get his business off the ground. He's got a lot on his shoulders right now. And I don't. I snapped. Mom sighed from behind the stove. You're in IT, Nathan. You make good money. All Liam needs is a little support. There it was. Support. That word they always threw around when they really meant money. I shut the fridge and leaned against the counter. You just raised my rent. By 80%. Remember that. Dad waved his hand like I was nitpicking. And you're still paying less than you would anywhere else. You're right, I said flatly. Let's raise it another 80 and call it a charity drive. Mom clicked her tongue. Don't be sarcastic. Liam's your brother. Yeah, I said. He is. He's also 30, lives rent-free in the basement, and hasn't worked a full-time job in 2 years. But sure, let's shake me down instead. Silence. Awkward, heavy silence. Then Dad, without missing a beat. You've always been good with money. Right. Because I actually work. I didn't say that out loud, but I wanted to. I'd been grinding since college. Full-time job, freelance on the side. No debt, no vacations, no nonsense. My car? Paid off. My savings? Hard-earned. I'd sacrificed a social life, sleep, and any semblance of balance to finally get ahead. Liam? He dropped out of 2 programs, got scammed by a crypto minter, and now he's launching a brand. Which apparently means playing Xbox until 3 a.m. and occasionally tweeting inspirational quotes. You said I could stay here for a year, I said. Save up, get ahead. I've done that. Now you're jacking up the rent and asking me to sell my car? For Liam. He's your brother, Mom repeated, like it was gospel. Families help each other. I stared at them. Then I laughed. I'll think about it, I said quietly. Dad gave a firm nod, like it was settled. Good. I knew you'd come through. I didn't reply. I just walked back to my room, shut the door, and sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor. They had no idea. No idea what I'd already decided. No idea what was coming. Let's just say, on Liam's big day, I was going to give him something. A surprise. Not the one they were expecting. But before we get to that, you need to understand how we got here. Because this wasn't about one bad conversation over breakfast. This was about years of silent expectations, of me giving and them taking, until I forgot what it even felt like to live for myself. Liam's big day was just the final spark. The fire? It started long before that. When I moved back home after college, it was supposed to be temporary. Just a year, my dad had said. Save some money, get stable. Then you'll be on your feet. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I've paid rent, split groceries, covered repairs when the plumbing burst, and helped Mom with her surprise credit card bills more times than I can count. I never complained. I figured, maybe this is what responsible sons do. But what made it unbearable was the double standard. Liam, my younger brother, Liam, was finding himself for the past half-decade. That mostly meant expensive hobbies and failed ventures that he somehow always needed funding for. Mom would say, he just needs time. Dad would say, you're the older one, Nathan. You're supposed to lead by example. But what did example even mean anymore? I worked 60-hour weeks in IT support while Liam slept till noon and posted #grind mode selfies from the couch. Let me paint you a picture. 2019. Liam wanted to start a dropshipping empire. I paid for the LLC registration and Shopify fees. 2020. He pivoted to YouTube. I bought him a camera and microphone. Just until the ad money rolls in, he said. 2021. Crypto phase. I didn't give him money that time. He took out a $15,000 personal loan to invest. Lost it all in under 2 months. And now? Apparently, I'm supposed to sell my car to cover the loan payments he can't make. You want to know the worst part? I said no. And they acted like I was the villain. Liam's not like you, Mom said one night, when I came home to find her and Dad sitting at the kitchen table, waiting for me like I was a teenager past curfew. He's sensitive, she continued. You have a job, a career, he has dreams. Oh, I'm sorry, I said. Is he allergic to working? Don't be cruel, Dad snapped. He's trying, but the stress of the loan is making him anxious. So sell the PlayStation, I shot back. Maybe anxiety will go away when he starts budgeting. Dad stood up then. Enough with the sarcasm. And enough with the freeloading, I said. You raised my rent by 80%, but he pays nothing? He's family, Mom said. So am I. No one answered. It got worse. I started noticing little things. Liam's Uber Eats orders on the family card. A package addressed to me, opened and discarded on the floor. It was my new phone, meant for work. His girlfriend sleeping over 4 nights a week, eating our groceries and calling me uptight because I actually pay for my stuff. And then came the final straw. It was a Sunday. I was in my room, trying to nap before another overnight shift. Liam barged in without knocking. Hey, he said, you said your credit's good, right? I sat up. Why? He laughed like it was obvious. I need to refinance my loan. Can I use your name? It'll help with the rate. I stared at him. He kept grinning, like he was asking for a cup of sugar. You want me to co-sign your loan? Just temporarily, he said. You've got, nothing to lose. It's not like you even use credit. Nothing to lose. Nothing. I stood up, walked past him, and didn't say a word. He followed me down the hall. Wait, what? You mad? I didn't answer. Geez, man, he muttered. You always act like you're better than us just 'cause you've got money. You owe us. That word. Oh, I owe them? For what? For feeding me when I was a child? For raising me in a house where love came with conditions and praise only ever went to the loudest failure? They didn't raise a son. They raised an asset. A silent ATM with boundaries they never intended to respect. That night, something shifted in me. For the first time, I didn't feel tired. I felt done. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just started researching. Quietly. Patiently. Because if there's one thing I learned in IT, it's that the best way to destroy a system is from inside. And the system here was my family. My mistake was thinking I was a part of it. But I wasn't. I was the power source. And it was time to pull the plug. On Liam's big day, he expected balloons. Instead, I had something else in mind. 30 days. 1 letter. And no warning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll see. Liam's big day was supposed to be some kind of celebration. A launch party, he called it. For his new brand. He printed t-shirts with some slogan that didn't make sense, made a media kit in Canva, and invited everyone he knew to our backyard like he'd just IPO'd on Wall Street. The night before, Dad asked if I could help set up the speakers. I said no. You're not even going to come? Mom asked, standing in my doorway like I was grounded. He's your brother. He's your project, I replied. You go clap. She didn't like that. But I didn't care anymore. They crossed every line. I was just drawing the border now. The morning of the event, I printed out the papers. Sealed the envelope. Double-checked everything. 30 days. That's what the law gives you on a formal eviction notice in our state. I'd done it by the book. Because if I was going to light this house on fire, I wanted the legal receipts. Liam was already out back by noon, strutting around in sunglasses and barking orders like a chaotic director. I need music. Where's the playlist? He yelled at no one. Dad was adjusting the grill. Mom was arranging plastic champagne glasses on a folding table like it was a royal wedding. I stood in the kitchen, watching through the window, sipping coffee from my mug that said problem solver. How poetic. I waited until the guests arrived. Until Liam stood in front of everyone with a mic he borrowed, talking about how grit beats privilege and how this journey was only possible thanks to his support system. I stepped outside just as the applause started. Envelope in hand. I walked right up to him and handed it over. What's this? He asked, smirking. Your surprise, I said. You've got 30 days. He laughed. 30 days to what? Dad was already walking over, brows furrowed. Mom froze mid-toast. To move out, I said. Loud. Clear. No tremor in my voice. The music stopped. You're joking, Liam said, flipping open the envelope. No, I said. That's a formal notice. This is my property. You're not a tenant. You're a liability. And I'm done. What is this, Nathan? Dad barked. You can't just. I can, I cut in. And I did. You raised my rent by 80%. Told me to sell my car to pay for his debt. Called it fair. This isn't the time or place, Mom said through gritted teeth. It's the perfect time, I said, because I want all of you to hear it. I turned to the crowd, family, neighbors, Liam's freeloading friends. For 3 years, I paid rent, bills, and fixed the house when no one else lifted a finger. I bought groceries while Liam bought microphones. I watched him fail at every idea, and still you made me the backup plan. The safety net. The punching bag. Nathan, you're overreacting, Dad tried again. Am I? I turned to Liam. Did you or did you not ask me last week to co-sign a loan for a business you haven't even launched? Liam was red. It was just an idea. Exactly, I snapped. You live on ideas. I live on actual work. I'm your brother, he shouted, trying to save face. You're supposed to help me. I did, I said coldly. I helped you become someone who's never had to be accountable. But I'm done. Mom gasped. You can't talk to him like that. I looked her dead in the eye. You mean the way you talked to me when you called me selfish for not selling my car? The way you've treated me like a wallet with legs. Dad stepped forward. You're embarrassing this family. I laughed. This family is an embarrassment. And I'm done pretending otherwise. Liam's voice cracked as he opened the letter again. You can't evict me. You don't even own this place. I do, I said, pulling out my phone and opening the mortgage app. I showed the screen to Dad. Bought it 6 months ago. In my name only. You've been living here on my dime. Silence. Dead, beautiful silence. Then, you didn't tell us, Mom whispered. You didn't ask, I said. You just kept assuming I'd carry you. I turned around, ready to walk back into the house. Oh, and by the way, I added, looking over my shoulder. Don't worry about rent. I'm waiving it for the next 30 days. After that, any of you still here, I'll let the sheriff do the talking. And with that, I went inside, closed the door behind me, and finally, breathed. After the backyard explosion, the house went dead quiet. No one said anything for the rest of the day. Mom disappeared into her room with a bottle of wine. Dad stayed at the kitchen table, unmoving, like a war vet reliving trauma. Liam slammed his door so hard, a picture frame fell off the wall. I cranked up my music, locked my door, and took the deepest nap of my adult life. For the first time in years, I didn't feel drained. I felt dangerous. The silence didn't last long. Day 4 post-notice, I caught Dad rifling through a stack of my mail on the dining table. Bank statements, mortgage papers, legal forms. He didn't even flinch. We just want to understand our options, he said. You can't seriously mean to evict your own family. I raised an eyebrow. Your family? Or the ones who raised my rent, told me to sell my car, and expected me to subsidize Liam's startup dreams like I'm Silicon Valley in sneakers. It's not like that, he muttered. This house was always ours. Spiritually, I let out a dry laugh. You spiritual landlords now. He didn't answer. Instead, Mom appeared with a folded piece of paper. She placed it gently on the table like it was a peace offering. It was a list, groceries, utilities, expenses, all things I'd paid for in silence for years. This is what we owe you, she said. We'd like to make it right, but you have to talk to Liam. My face hardened. Oh, I will. But not with words. That night, I got a knock at the door. To my surprise, it wasn't more family nonsense. It was Alyssa, Liam's ex. She looked different. Calmer. Like someone who'd just crawled out of a forest fire. I heard what happened, she said, holding a file folder. I opened the door without saying anything. He told me you offered to co-sign his loan, she continued. That's a lie. I was the original co-signer. But 2 months ago, he updated the paperwork. I took the file from her hands and froze. Liam had forged my name, my email, my phone number. He used my credit, without asking, without warning. My jaw locked. So he lied to me, and to the bank. She nodded. You need to know what kind of mess he's in. He's been lying to everyone, including himself. I called my lawyer. We reviewed the documents. Every signature. Every fake email trail. You have grounds to press charges, he told me. Forgery. Identity misuse. Possibly fraud, depending on what he did with the money. I stared at the screen. My brother hadn't just used me. He impersonated me. And the worst part? No one stopped him. Not my parents. Not even himself. The next day, I called a family meeting. One last supper. They came. Reluctantly. Dad looked tense. Mom clutched a tissue. Liam sulked, eyes darting, avoiding mine. I dropped the folder on the table. Let's skip the salad, I said. Liam, you used my name to secure your loan. You forged my identity. Mom gasped. That can't be true. Check the documents, I said, pushing them forward. It's all there. Emails, phone logs, signatures, verified, legal. Liam stammered. It was just temporary. I was going to tell you. You weren't. I cut in. You were going to let me carry your debt while you played CEO in a hoodie. Dad tried to speak, but I stopped him with a look. I've already spoken to a lawyer. If Liam's not out in 10 days, and that loan isn't closed in 30, I'll press charges. Liam's face collapsed. You'd ruin my life. You already ruined your credit, I said. I'm just protecting mine. That night, he vanished. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't apologize. Left the house like a burglar in reverse, taking nothing but the chaos he'd caused. A few days later, I was making coffee when Mom slid into the kitchen quietly. She placed a small envelope beside my mug. Inside was a handwritten note. We never realized how much you carried. We're not asking you to forgive us. But we see it now. I read it. I folded it. I said nothing. Not yet. And just when I thought it was over, another surprise arrived. A letter. Real paper. No return address. From Alyssa. I know this is strange, but my company has an opening in Seattle. Systems analyst. Housing stipend included. I know you're probably done with cleaning up messes, but this could be your start, your real start. If you're ready. I sat back, stared at the words. Seattle. A city where no one knew my name or how much I'd pay just to survive under the roof I called home. I closed the envelope and smiled. They took my peace for granted. I took back everything else. Now I had a choice. And for once, it was mine. Sometimes, I still hear it. The sound of my dad flipping through bills, sighing dramatically. The guilt-laced silence my mom used like a weapon. Liam's voice echoing down the hall. You're supposed to help me. You're my brother. It used to haunt me. Now, it reminds me why I left. 2 weeks after Liam disappeared, the house felt wrong. Quiet in a fake way. Like after a storm, when everything's eerily still but you know another one's brewing. My parents tried to pretend things were getting back to normal. But nothing was normal anymore. They tiptoed around me like I was a bomb they weren't sure had finished exploding. Every morning, I'd hear the soft sound of them whispering in the kitchen. Bills. Food. Repairs. Things I used to handle without question. And for once, I let them sit in it. Not because I hated them, but because they needed to feel it. The absence of me. 3 days before their move-out deadline, I came home to find Dad waiting on the porch. He wasn't yelling. Not this time. He looked small. I'm applying for rentals, he said quietly. Most of them want pay stubs, credit checks. It's been a while. I nodded. You'll figure it out. He didn't argue. Didn't guilt me. Didn't mention Liam. It was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. The day they left, Mom handed me a casserole dish and a worn-out envelope. It's not much, she said, but it's something. Inside the envelope, for $180 in cash. I didn't take it. I didn't need it. That dish sat in the fridge for 3 weeks untouched before I finally threw it out. But the gesture? That stayed with me. Liam never reached out. No apology. No explanation. Just a post on his new Instagram page. Him in some co-working space, typing nonsense, still selling the dream. He rebranded himself as a resilience coach. Resilience. From what? Being held accountable? The post got 8 likes. I didn't even give it the 9th. You'd think that'd be the end of it. But a month later, I got a message request on Facebook. From Kelly, a friend of Liam's ex, Alyssa. I saw your story on Reddit, she wrote. Just wanted you to know what you did. It helped more people than you realize. A lot of us have Liams in our lives. We needed to see someone win. I read that message 3 times. Not because I didn't believe it, but because it was the first time someone saw me not as a villain, but as a survivor. 2 weeks later, I packed my bags. Took the offer in Seattle. Started over. New job. New apartment. No leeches. No random Venmo requests. No guilt-laced dinners. No fake family meetings that ended with, you should really help Liam more. And yet, Sometimes I'd catch myself opening my old banking app, out of habit, checking if someone had borrowed from me again, checking for the weight I used to carry, but there was nothing, just my money, my balance, my life. And that's when it hit me. They never loved the real me. They loved the version of me that made their lives easier. The reliable one, the responsible one, the one who never said no, the human ATM, the spare parent, the financial backup plan. Once I stopped being that, they called me selfish, ungrateful, cruel. But now, sitting in a Seattle cafe with my laptop open and no texts demanding help, I finally feel what they feared most. Free. I paid off the house, sold it, invested the rest. I keep a framed copy of the eviction notice in my drawer, not out of spite, but as a reminder that boundaries are not betrayals, that walking away doesn't make you evil, that saying no can save your life. People ask me if I miss them, the holidays, the family barbecues, the togetherness. I tell them, I don't miss family. I miss the idea of family. What I had was debt wrapped in love bombs, conditional loyalty with strings attached. I don't miss it, not even a little. If you're reading this, and you're their version of me, the one who pays quietly, sacrifices silently, never complains, you're not crazy, you're not heartless, you're not selfish, you're just tired. And maybe, just maybe, it's time you gave yourself the gift you've given them for years. Freedom. Because I'll tell you what no one ever told me. Being the villain in their story is worth it, if it means finally being the hero in your own.